you have to do is say, well, I was listening. I heard him say it. I mean, I did hear him say it. You say, you heard who? Say, well, I heard Ed Till. He was just going on and on. I had no idea had that much to say about it. I never thought of Ed Till as some kind of correspondent from, God knows where. I don't think Ed Till is, in the middle of Damascus or one of these joints like Tripoli. Ed Till live from Tripoli. Ed Till doesn't even leave the grounds. He stays on the compound. I don't see it. So what would Ed Till have in common with a guy who went to jail for what he said? Oh, well, boy, now it sounds like you're talking about Ed. The only part Ed Till was not beheaded yet. There's no shortage of people that would like to behead Ed Till. This poor guy, which is always to me what makes the difference in life. He got caught. They got their hands on him. I'm telling you, it's perilous. You cannot it's just like imagine being a soldier in the World War II and the Nazis got a hold of you, or the Japanese. You saw what the Japanese did to torture, and forget it. So this guy, poor guy, his whole thing is that he got caught. The job has to be, people always give me grief. The job doesn't have to be done. You don't have to really get that close to the bad guys. You don't really have to do it. I go, you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. This guy's as brave as any war hero. He's as brave as any fighter pilot, anybody who ever dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. This guy goes right down in the same category. He's on the vanguard of freedom. It's the biggest balls in the world to fly over to the Middle East where they hate Americans. And by the way, the guy's name is Foley. It wasn't Ahmed, from some corner of Manhattan where you say, well, look, this guy's great for undercover. When they went undercover with the mob, they sent an Italian in there. When you're covering it as, pale, good kid, what we call fresh-faced, the American fresh-faced kid, who I'm talking about, the fresh-faced kid when they come walking around.
He's Ed Till!
The fresh-faced kid. They go, oh, look at that. He said, look at that nice kid. And you go, oh, he's not really a kid. He's 40 years old. Oh, my God, gee, we're all getting old. And then you say, he's a reporter. Say, oh, my God, look at this guy. And he's all the way over here. What's he doing in this godforsaken country? We're here for the oil company. We're making money like Midas. We're not Midas Muffler, baby. We're King Midas. You know what I'm saying? We're making big oil money. What is this kid doing? Well, he's a reporter. A reporter? Do you know how poorly reporters get paid? Yeah, well, he's dedicated to the story. Yeah, well, I think he's way too close. He's one of those great reporters. Oh, my God, Jesus. Well, is he going to get any protection? I don't know. He's working for some media outlet. Boy, you know how they are. Boy, they're just the softest, most compassionate a-holes that ever called themselves liberals. So who do you think his boss is? Probably some douchebag arguing, and the kid wants the story. He wants to come over. He's what? He's missing. Where is he? Ah, Jesus H. Christ. All right, get the CIA on the phone. Hi, CIA. Yeah, the kid that reports everybody's talking about Foley, whatever, he's missing now. Oh, really? Well, I guess we didn't tell you to move him 50. Well, everybody's trying to move him. He's trying to get the story. What do you know? What do you have to do what the president says, don't you? The president tells you to go in there and start a big problem in a third world country. You do what you're told, don't you? So now this kid's trying to get the story for him. Well, he probably got himself captured. All right, we'll go out and look for him. Ring, ring. Hey, it's the CIA. Yeah, he's definitely been captured. How do you know? We saw him on video. They sent the video over to let us know they got him. Ah, Jesus Christ almighty. You got that video? Yeah, it comes with the whole fatwa, beheading threat. It's all in there. You want it? Yeah, I'll drop it off for you at the Cafe Morocco. I mean, Jesus, the oldest thing in the world. It's been going on since the hostages with Carter. Now, what do we learn? Oh, there was an unsuccessful rescue attempt. Oh, I see how this goes now. I see. Oh, I see. So when you rescue somebody, you run around like it's crazy, But when somebody happens to get killed, you're like, and you're like, what? Speak up. Well, we conducted a mission and we failed, sir. And what became of the reporter? They sliced his head off, sir, based on the airstrikes.
To the Ed Till.
telling me an American got his head cut off in response to saving those people on the mountain?
You may not like.
Did anybody bring up the fatwa on this kid at the mountain meeting? No, sir. There's a separate department. Rescuing journalists from crazy Islam is not in the same moving poor people of a different religion off a mountain in Islam, sir. Those are two separate departments? Yes, sir, they are, sir. Well, don't you think maybe since 9/11? I know where you're going with that, sir. 2020 hindsight, yes, sir.
Ed Till's got all the news and storylines, talking about all the main
Door shuts.
He's just...
You know, I love this guy. He's the new president. How come he doesn't think of this? I thought he was commander-in-chief. Why, he doesn't know that Islam's going to hear about something else that happens in Islam and take it out on somebody? What is this, new to him? The ripple effect?
Razor's edge.
He's asking me, how come I didn't know? I did what you told me to. You told me to get these people off the mountain, didn't you? Yes, and Sasha and Malia were in the room. They didn't hear you bring up that they would die. Oh, come on.
Watch out.
Where have you been for 5 years? Playing lousy golf? Boy, you know, for a guy that plays as much golf as you're a constitutional law professor. I expect a little bit more out of you. I swear to God, do you do anything? Well, what part of this job do you actually do? Ed Till. Not for nothing, but I swear you're always on television telling everybody does everything for you. My staff briefed me. I got briefs. You got briefs. Boxer briefs. Come on, man. Start squaring with me, will you? Uh-oh, here we go. Is this new or tape?
Company, Bank of America.
Oh, it's tape, yes. They're so clever. They break out the bank issue today. Like anybody cares about that bank crisis today. It's so cynical, they would say in the old days. If Reagan pulled a move like this, which, there were limits to what Reagan would do. He was very high in that dignity area, which people laugh at today. He wasn't. Nobody's perfect. Don't start bringing up things Reagan did wrong. This guy would give anything to be called the Black Reagan. Are you kidding? What do you think? What do you think the whole idea was when they first got in? It'd be the Black Reagan. People love him like a folk hero. Yeah. Okay. Way to go, Cisco Kid. He is. He's like the Cisco Kid. That's what he's like. Didn't tell Holder, saying, look, Eric, we have worked together for a long time. I work with a guy named Eric. I have a very good friend his name's Eric, happens to be African-American. So I would say it the same way that Obama could say it to Eric Holder. Say, Eric, as an African-American, look how lucky you have been. I mean, honest to God, you wake up in the morning and just, kiss the gods or whatever. Because, one ugly incident that you were too young to remember, the whole thing gets to be sideshowed. It could have... So look at us. We're sitting here, a couple of black guys. We got it all. Look at President and AG. Come on, look at us. A couple of F-bombs, MF bombs out there, high fives. Get rallied up and go, we can do this. We can triangulate these bastards. What do you think? You think we can't rally up a bunch of Jesus singing, hand holding, non-violent? Where's the non-violent signs? They used to put non-violent on everything. The Committee for Nonviolence, the Non-Violent Committee. It used to be non-violent everything. Branding. Where's your branding? Your branding is F the police. The kid says, well, if the police would talk to us the right way. I said, Jesus, God. Jesus, God, Mary, Joseph, get the saints in here, get the apostles. We're going to need all the help we can. That's one good thing about the Catholic Church. I noticed I've been studying now all these comparative religions, and they talk about how the whole story got blown up after the crucifixion is really where the religion part comes in, And the Catholics have everybody involved. Peter is a hothead. Paul gets struck on a horse. He's new. Judas was a traitor and a liar. He commits suicide. Judas Iscariot, Robin Williams. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's almost too much, right? Like, did Judas get this kind of press? Did Judas have like a slide into when he sold him out? Today it would be like, if you had a bag of shekels and had just shown out, sold out the Messiah, what would you do? You can hardly shown out the Messiah. You can outshone him on TV because he won't show up. You say, well, we have messages into the Lord if he would like to answer. But the Judas goes on there, and he goes, it was great the first night. I picked up everybody's check. I felt like George Clooney. I was going crazy. Then I tried to sleep at night, and I kept seeing, that face he uses, Jesus gets that face. You know that face. He looks up at you. He's got the crown of thorns. Oh, man, he's like, I see him. He's got it's on his shoulder. Carrying that.
Ed Till Show.
I'm like, this can't be happening. I can't be involved in this. Those girls are beautiful, the belly dancers, everything last night. But I can't be involved in this. This is way over my head. It's over my pay grade. I wasn't even one of his favorite disciples. If I was if it was Peter, maybe. I'm not even Peter. All right, so I made a big mistake. What are you going to do? Well, I'll hang myself, get myself out of it. Then I'll be in hell. He'll come around, let me out. He's letting everybody out. Once he saves everybody, he can still save me. Oh, so that's how this works. Oh, I don't think you get Christianity. The minute you say you did it, boom, you forget. You got to be sorry, which if you're crying and screaming, if you're on the floor begging and screaming for anything in Catholicism type of the Bible, like the actual Bible, not softening by Martin Luther or the Presbyters and all these other nice folks, the Calvinists. Let's just go with the Bible the way it was done before you people start twisting it. That's the Catholic faith. Not an easy one. How could it be? It's not easy to be a Jew. It's not easy to be an Islam. A guy, by the way, I'm going to make this announcement. I'm sure you've heard it in other media, but I welcome it. Talking about religions, and the Catholic religion is no picnic to be a member of, right? A lot of obligations, a lot of humility involved, but always this, incredible forgiveness and redemption and start over, and your soul is going to be... They always tell you that when you go to heaven, if you've done it right, or you go to purgatory and you suffer and get it right, and then you get up there, your body is going to go back to the age of whatever age Jesus was when he died, like 32, 33, because that's the apex of all of your faculties and this and that. And they said, so heaven is not full of old men with beards and women, playing canasta. It's not like that. It looks like, Venice Beach in California. It looks like, South Beach in Miami. And you say, wow, that's something. Everybody goes back to, and so if this is coming, what are you going to not, you're going to say, where do I sign up? You go, so what do you do? We have to confess to everything. Everything? Oh, you have to put it all out there. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Oh, you want to take a look at what's going on in there once you confess? Yeah, no problem. I'll confess. That'll be fine.
Never looks for middle ground. Never on the fence. Sorting back with a razor's edge.
So I want to give credit where credit is due. Some Islamic religious leader, I know our good friend Al Rassouli will discredit this in a moment. I'm sure it's open to severe criticism, like our good friend Al Rassouli, I'm sure will heap criticism on this. I'm sure he will call it a lie and a complete obfuscation of the truth, and I respect him for that because he's a dedicated scholar. He's entitled. But here's the news, no matter how controversial. An Islamic leader has come out and said definitively, once and for all, and will repeat it over and over now, the Ed Till Show is not mentioned anywhere in the Quran, and it's official.
Show.
Isn't that great? It's official now. We are not mentioned anywhere in any fatwa or the Quran. No, that's not the news. No, the news is, he said, there's nowhere in theology of Islam, in the ordinary go to mosque on Friday, pray at various times on the prayer rug, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful tradition. All this stuff is beautiful without the killings and the planes into the buildings. And he says absolutely nothing. In the theology, he didn't say there's no such thing as a person who believes that Osama bin Laden. It is. It's like that. It's like Osama bin Laden. What do you mean? It's that style. If they fly something into you, they drive something into you, you call that Osama bin Laden. What do you mean? Well, the bin Laden means it's an attack on innocent people, and Islama means all of the groups are capable of it. Al-Qaeda could do it to you. ISIS could do it to you. ISIL could do it to you. The Maghreb was always one of my favorites. The Al-Qaeda of the southern Maghreb. And they love to take it. Yemen, the Yemeni Al-Qaeda. All of these guys, to me, are the Islama bin Laden. There you go. Coined a brand new phrase. See how things happen? Serendipity. That's a good name for an Al-Qaeda serendipity. Serendipity Al-Qaeda. Yeah, miscellaneous Al-Qaeda. Whatever, just angry at anything you got, Jewish or American related. Anything about Israel. That's another one. I hate that. I got caught one day, I'm in a bar, and this guy is dating the bartender. I do comedy at the bar, and I walk up, and she's sweet as always, and this angry dude is there, and I go, hey, what's up? And she goes, my friend Ahmed. I said, hey, Ahmed. And he goes, it's not Ahmed, man. It's Ahmed. Oh. I said, pardon me. Somebody must have flown into your city and knocked down a bunch of buildings. Why, you got me. That was the year I got the Islamic Relations Reward for the worst American. Yeah, I got into an argument. This was funny for some people to imagine. I'm sitting around Ground Zero about a year after Ground Zero, just about 1 year, and sitting around, and no, not even, it's less than a year. What am I talking? It's less than a year. I haven't gone to the first anniversary yet, which is coming up. Looking forward to that. At that point, everybody's overwhelmed, but we're talking away, and I said, I don't know about this guy, criticizing Bush. I said, I didn't vote for Bush. I said, I didn't like Bush. I didn't think Bush was qualified. I said, but Bush happens to be in charge of the country, and I think Bush ought to be given a lot of latitude for making mistakes now, shooting up bad guys. I said, I don't care if he misses a few times. It's like Nixon said, I want the Chinese to think I'm nuts. If Bush was going to start making trouble around the world, it was not my choice. But he was elected. This is the way the country goes. We're going to start getting in the guy's face while the bad guys are after you? No, sir. I don't do that. That's against my interest. That's me putting my preferences against my own best interests. I know what my interests are. I'm not going to have people thinking, oh man, 9/11, they really have nothing to answer back for that. I'll tell you, they're going to get right in there. You must be kidding. I was that Sunday that we began that bombing in Afghanistan. We were dancing in the streets, man. It was like the Live Aid, Bowie and Jagger all over again. It was dancing in the street. Martha and the Vandellas, whoever the hell it is, man. We were dancing in the street. We were like, bomb these sons of bitches back. I mean, it's what they want, right? They're like, we're from the old days, and you're screwed up because you're from the new days. And I'm like, look, are you my grandfather or are you Al Qaeda? You don't get to bomb people over that. My grandfather gets to spit out the window from the 4th floor when he sees something he doesn't like, but that's about it. That's about all it goes. And if that spit ever hit anybody, believe me, my grandfather would get a ticket. He used to sit out the window, and he used to spit, but there was a fire escape right in front of him, because it was the best window was the fire escape. So he'd sit in front of the fire escape window. He would spit, and all the spits would never make it out. They would always hit this fire escape. And I go, Gramps, why do you do that? He goes, that's all right. That's all right. They know. I said, you think they know? Well, we're up on the 4th floor. They can't see anything. They know. I said, you tell them. I started doing the same thing. Second, third day, I'm like, I'm clamming right up with him. Boom, I'm spitting. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing what you're doing. He says, that's not going to hit anybody. I said, that's what you said.
You know he's driving you crazy. Shut up. So pick up the freaking phone. It's the Ed Till Show.
Come on, everybody. I got to reroute the phone. Wait, we're trying out a new phone system, which I'm going to jinx it right now. I'll tell you more about my grandfather at some other time. Spitting out through the... He's got me. My mother says, what are you doing? I said, Grandpa says we can spit because... This is how I interpreted it. She goes, what are you doing? I said, Grandpa said we can spit because the fire escape catches it and we don't hurt anybody. She says, your grandfather told you that? I said, he did. So she went right in there to verify it. Because I had nothing to do when I was a kid. There was nothing to do from when I was like 2 until 4.5 when they finally got me into school. There was nothing to do. I mean, I was following around everything, man. I knew how to do closets. I knew how to scrub the tub. It was ridiculous. Everything that went on at that age. So when I used to get to go to my grandfather's apartment, he lived on the 4th floor. We lived on the 2nd floor. He lived on the 4th floor. And this is a walk-up. This guy had balls of steel. 82 years old. He lives on a fourth story walk-up. That's 8 flights of stairs. He would take his cane, and he would take a half an hour. But he would, and then when he was on the way up, he would stop at every floor and chit-chat with whoever was coming and going. People would come out of their house. They'd see my grandfather with his cane and his hat, his Italian hat. He always had his Big Apple hat, his cap. Like he looked like, Leonardo DiCaprio in Gangs of New York. He had that hat on. And he'd stand there with his cane. And he'd be on the landing so he wouldn't block anybody. He was never... My grandfather was never caught violating any rules of society. If you even intimated to him that he might have, you're in for a half an hour, because he'll take you right back to the scene and he'll recount everything, and you'll be like, forget it. You're right, Pete. And he'd be like, you're damn right. And that would be it. Boom. He wouldn't even say thank you. He would just say, you're damn right. Because he knew he told you right the first time. Yeah. He was a time management freak long before it was called that. He was a multitasker. He could do more than one thing. He'd watch TV, eat, and talk to you at the same time. And you'd have to keep up with him because he would be ahead of your agenda. You're asking about your bicycle, how to put air in your tires, remember the first time you had to put that gauge, the tire gauge. It's like your father's tire gauge. Now you got to use on your bicycle. Now everything's all, now you're lost. You're lost. Your father's like, here's what I use on the car. And they go, well, how does this work on the bike? He goes, don't worry, it works. Oh, yeah, goodbye, see ya. That's great. That's excellent training session. It works. So I'm doing it wrong and letting out all the air in the tire. Now I have no air in the tire. Before I had some air in the tire. I could have taken it to the gas station, which is against all my family's religion. My family doesn't believe in taking anything to anybody that we can't do, because in the old days, you didn't say it, but like, you have to give that man some money. You can't go to the gas station and go, hey, Tommy, Tommy Molina owned the Texaco station. You can't go, Tommy, could you fix my bike? It'd be short. But then when he's done, Tommy will be like, all right now. And then you're supposed to give him something that your mother gave you because you had permission to go ask this guy to, yeah. Today, everybody's scamming everybody left and right. So my grandfather would never accept any money, but he didn't want to pretend, oh, thank you, nice. He knew he was comping you. My grandfather would never accept money for anything like that. Never. My grandfather got so many cars started, literally hundreds of cars, would never have gotten anywhere between the years 1935 and 1965 if it wasn't for him. He started people's cars everywhere. Everywhere it would be any place. And some guy would open the hood. And right away, my grandfather would start making, comments. Look at this guy. Look at him. He's trying to. What the hell is he doing now? And my grandfather could tell by looking at somebody else.
The Ed Till Show. He's Ed Till.
He could tell that they were dumbfounded at what was wrong with the car. They would have that look that they were completely lost on their face. so he would get angry. He'd get angry at them. But we would be, oh, it was the best. Oh, I love this because this meant we were going to go start a problem with somebody. There was going to be a big face-off any minute. And then, of course, the guy would start trying to start his car, and the car doesn't start, and the smoke is coming out. And then that fellow, the poor innocent guy with the broken, who my grandfather is furious at now, that guy has a wife and kids in the car. So his kids start getting, Daddy, with the... My grandfather's like, see, now the kids are out of the car. Now the kids are in danger. This guy doesn't... So right away, my grandfather jumps up out of whatever diner we're in. He goes marching out there like he's going to punch the guy out. And at the last second, he says, excuse me, I'm a mechanic. Would you like me to help you with that? And the guy would be, oh, sir, thank you. Yeah. He would right away back him off with the gratitude. My grandfather was just being polite as a cover to get in there to save the situation. My grandfather was one of these guys who could not stand to see people stuck in anything. The snow, the mud, the engine won't turn over. Whatever the hell it is, he would start looking right away. He would announce that he see it. He'd look over, he goes, oh, look at this. And right away, my mother would be like, oh, don't, come on, Daddy. I don't know what pronunciation this was they used. Daddy. I never heard this. No one in the Bronx in my life ever said dad. They used Daddy. My aunt, they're all Daddy. Wherever they got this from, I don't know. Must have been in the family pronunciation. That's how they were talking to my grandfather. Everybody would ask him not to get involved. Don't, and not me. I was like, go, Gramps. And the minute he locked on, he didn't hear us anyway. He didn't know who was telling him not to or what to. He would go into this incredible mode where he could see the traffic, which way it was coming. He knew what the temperature was when he got out of the vehicle. He understood how to put a cover over the hood so the battery leads don't get wet. He had a rag that was separate in a piece of plastic that could be used to clean rust off of. This guy was like a superhero out of a Marvel comic book, man. He was out of control, this guy. So, of course, all the women on their side in the car, right? My aunts and my mom, and oh my God, when he goes out and my father was like, let your father do what he did. My father didn't say a word because my father knew my grandfather was a huge pain in the ass. He had been married by this time 20 years to my mom. So my father just goes silent. I thought I was watching a Lone Ranger episode because my grandfather was fearless. He would walk over an interstate. He would time it out. He would look both ways. He was a bicycle champion when he was young, so he was built like an athlete. Lean, quick, great reflexes. His only big thing was he had arthritis, so it was more painful when I was around for him to grab the wrenches and loosen the clips, and he would do it with his bare hands. This guy would turn off an engine, and he would put a rag on top of something, and without a tool, he would start taking the thing apart, and then he would get out a penknife, and he would cut the thing, and he would make a patch, and he would create a thing, and then he would tighten it, and it was like watching one of these TV shows, man, where the guy is cooking gourmet food. You're like, look at him, he's slicing everything, and he's doing this with a machine that is mystifying everybody else. Everybody else is staring like it's a magic act, and then his hands, filthy, but not his whole body. He would not be filthy, disgusting, but his hands black as soot. He'd come up and he would look at everybody, and he would say, "Who's got the keys?"
Ed Till. Ed Till. Ed Till.
Whoever had the keys had to go, and he'd go, "Start it." That's all you heard from him. He didn't say a word while he was in there. Muttering to himself in Italian, he's talking nothing. He doesn't ask for a wrench. Nothing. While he's got his head stuck in the engine, right, buried in the engine, his arm will come out and change tools out of his back pocket like a contortionist, like a pitcher reaching back in Major League Baseball. You know, when they do the big stretch, they kick and then they and deal. They go, here he goes. He kicks and deals. Here goes Gramps. He's got that box wrench. He's got the never used an adjustable wrench. Never used pliers. Wouldn't touch him. Those are shoemaker tools. Would not use an adjustable wrench for anything. Zero. Can't happen. He'll modify a regular wrench, which it cannot happen. It doesn't use vice grips. None of that crap. That was all garbage. Shoemaker for that. So he would just blow. And then when he was done and it started, then they would start with he would get like the rock star review. He would turn his back on all the gratitude. They were all, like even the little kids, thank you, mister, and for the kid, he look off to the side. All right, now, chickadee. Every kid, it was called a chickadee. It was some kind of thing. He was raised on a farm in Italy. I don't know where he got that from. Every little kid. If you were like if you were too small to know any better, my grandfather loved you as a kid. That was the only kind of kid he liked. It's funny. You go to church, talking about the Catholics before. Catholics are big on this. All these episodes with Jesus. One is when the kids won't shut up, and the mothers go, stop bothering Jesus. And Jesus is, I love the sound of children. And when they show you those kids, it's never a 13-year-old spitting on Jesus or kicking him in the shins. It's baby, kuka, they're crawling, and, it's adorable. So that's how my grandfather liked kids. Once you were like 5 years old, you were not a kid anymore. But from 0 up to about 3.5, he was. So if anybody was nice to him from under the age of 4, my grandfather gave a big smile off to the side because he didn't want to share any of this with the adults that he couldn't stand because they were the ones he felt that endangered the kids. Anytime somebody was stuck on the side of the road with their car, my grandfather was furious at the adult who allowed that to happen, put those kids at risk. And is he wrong? Of course not. How many emergency horrible things happen side of the road? They get sideswiped, they get banged, they get thrown. The drunk driver is able to hit them because they're on a curve, because they're in a blind spot. All these, it reminds me, I'll tell you the truth, the whole thing. My grandfather was one of those pioneer guys. He was one of these gifted auto technician in the 1930s, so much that by the 1940s, they invented automatic transmission. It's incredible. The fact that you could put a car in drive and not have to shift it, mandatorily shift it 3 gears in the old days, 4, 5, 6 speeds today, is because these guys, and there was one woman on the team, but it was mostly these guys, like 14, 15, 16, huge team, worked all summer, came up with it. It was like a NASA project. You had to make something happen. It sounded impossible. At the beginning of the summer, nobody had any clue as to how to do it. By the end of the summer, it was done. So you say, well, all right, what does that remind you of? Well, you know what you should know by now, if you don't, how impressed I am. These folks, I've been talking about them, it seems almost nonstop for months now. Bellwether Truck Escort. Now, how often do I tell you that I'm impressed with who they are, how they are, what they do?
It was a little place near Texas.
But they remind me of the guys like my grandfather. My grandfather knew how to play music. My grandfather knew how to chase women. He didn't chase women, inappropriately, but before he was married, before he was busy taking care of business, being great at what he did. He was a guy's guy, but when it came to being serious, you couldn't beat him out. So now you got Bellwether Truck Escort, just like my grandfather. He'd be like, all right, what's the load? You give him the pounds. He goes, oversized load, right away. My grandfather could hear the pounds, and he'd go, it doesn't mean, the pounds don't mean oversized. It does to me. I know all the exact pounds. You rattled off a familiar number. That's a number that comes up a lot. What's next? And you go, Jesus, this guy's like the CSI of truck escorts. And you go, kind of. How do you get like that? Experience. Experience is how my grandfather learned all of this on a farm, working on the tractor, working on the thing, the machinery that you used to cut and store and pack and all the crap they did back in Italy. 2014, you call up 855 flag car. That's Bellwether Truck Escort. You call them up and you go, hey, here's what I'm hauling. Here's where I'm going. Here's where I start out. I'm putting my budget together. I need to make sure I get a good fuel ratio. I also need you guys to cover me on the grade of the road, you know, up and down the mountain, where I'm on an interstate, where I got tolls, where I got clearances, where I can make turns. And they're like, check, 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 check. And you're like, oh my God. Seriously, we do it all. As a matter of fact, they put a car in front of you as a leapfrog, stop the traffic, and make it safe for you to get the wide load around a turn where you're going to require more space than there is. You said, well, wait a second. How am I going to get there without smashing into something? Because with Bellwether Truck Escort, they guarantee you no contact. Their policy is no contact. Now, let's face it. We're all human. You go, yeah, no, not at Bellwether. They're not human. They're awesome. What do you mean? No. Everybody else goes, I'm human, and then they start making mistakes all over the place. Then it's all apology city. At Bellwether, they're not human. They're super amazing, incredibly dedicated. Technically, they're humans. You know, if you wanted to get a doctor from the Surgeon General or somebody in that way, but their professionalism, their success rate is nothing short of phenomenal, which means beyond human expectation. You think you're laying it on a little bit thick? I say, well, I don't know. Let's see. Your whole career this year, your whole year's earnings are going to be seriously impacted by this one load. Let's see. Maybe it's a mobile home. Maybe it's a mobile studio. Maybe it's something even bigger. It's huge. It's a humongous load. I don't know. Am I taking it too seriously? That you should not get on the phone. 855 flag car. That's 8 double nickels flag car. 855 FLAG CAR. Why? So that you know and trust that you're going to get it done without problems. Say, well, Ed, why are you so negative? Oh, I don't know, because I've seen people that go like this. Hey, Ed, I really blew it on that last delivery. Yeah, it wound up costing me about $4,000. What? You lost money on the job? Well, it's a very important client, and I made a ton of mistakes, and I had to eat all my own mistakes because I want the client to love me, and of course I had to pretend and go out to buy a mistake dinner after everything because he thought I made my money and he made his, and I was like, Ed, I'm a loser. I didn't make it. I go, whoa. You're not a loser, dude. You just made one little mistake, but it turned out to make all the difference. One small task, and all of a sudden you're a hero. You call 855 flag car next time. Tell them what you're doing. Let them assess it, analyze, assist, and then you got your hard-earned money in your pocket where it belongs, thanks to Bellwether Truck Escort. That's what they do. They work all the ports. They're based in Trenton, which is a strategic location for East Coast ports. They work all the ports, and they work all the mountains, and they work all the state roads, and they work all the steep grade. You ever see those signs with the yellow sign and the thing is pointing downward? You're like, oh boy, here we go. And you're like me. You're like, oof. If I was a truck driver with that, and then you look in your rear view, and here's a guy oversized load, and you go, oh my God, look at them. I hope they have help. And of course they do. Bellwether Truck Escort is right there. 855 flag car. Music provided by our good friends Blue Collar Agglomeration. This one's called it's one of my favorites, Arkansas Ambush by Blue Collar Agglomeration. They're great. You can get their music.
Have
everywhere on the web. Spotify, RDIO, Google Play, Amazon. Now let me spell a blue collar agglomeration for you. Even though you're like, Ed, you've spelled it thousands. Okay, shut up. There's always new people coming in. Come on, man. Don't act like it's some kind of podcast, okay? No offense. I understand they're trying to make a comeback because Norm Pattis bought a bunch of podcasts and Westwood One. Not really a cutting-edge company, but okay, God bless everyone and Tiny Tim. But give me a break. This is not some private conversation in somebody's basement. I'm trying to help the new people, okay? So may I spell it out for you? Blue collar, agglomeration, brilliant talents, musicians that are awesome and funny, and they're all over the web. So what you heard is they sent me a bunch of new ones as usual. They always send me a ton of great music. So I got this one, Arkansas Ambush. So why don't you get it? Blue collar agglomeration. Go to Spotify, RDIO. Go everywhere on the web. Just you know what I do? I'm lazy. I don't care. Call me lazy. Just don't call me late for dinner. But call me this. I'm Mr. Google. Some genius yesterday said, Google still is the best website ever. I'm like, you know something? I'm not half as dumb as people try to make me think I am. Do you ever hear when people are all over me? Oh, Ed, you're an idiot. They're wrong and I'm right. Google's a great website. So here's what you know. Blue, B-L-U.
Come on, everybody.
Collar, C-O-L-L-A-R. Agglomeration. G-L-O-M-E-R-A-T-I-O-N. Now, as I said, Spotify, Google Play, a ton of places on the web, Amazon. But the idea is, get it, will ya? And if you're driving truck, let me just say, I always talk about bellwether, and I never spend any time on the ladies behind the wheel. More women drive truck than ever before, and I love you to death. I love when you get a great meal. I love when somebody gives you a smile. I love when somebody gets out of your way on the road, when they're just courteous to you. They give you the wave instead of right away, grousing at you while you're feeding them. Do you ever get the angry driver comes by? They're angry at you, existential anger in these people. They just don't like trucks. Oh, I can't stand it. I'm not going to name any names, but in my family, I used to have a member of my family hated the trucks. I go, whoa. When I was a kid, those trucks could have my toys coming to the store that, Santa Claus is going to pretend he made. And he go, how do you know about that? I go, look, I just know it's a truck of toys.
Come on, he's driving you crazy. Shut up. So pick up the freaking phone. It's the Ed Till Show.
Come on, everybody, it's you. Come on, everybody, it's you. You may not like what he has to say.
Multi-model ensemble members. Each one of those models each has their own different ensemble tracks.
Let me ask you something. Speaking of ensembles, what about this pink salmon? Pink is the new. Everybody's wearing. Every guy now has a pink salmon shirt on. Every time you turn on TV now, it's a pink ensemble, and this guy's going on and on about tropical waves.
Thank you. That's Dr. Greg Postel. And
here we go.
Weather Lab.
Yes.
That's it. The girls are dressing nice and conservative, and this guy is like.
After we show you these puffy.
Sir, is it breast cancer week again? I mean, I'll give you money, but easy. Just take it easy.
It won't be hot and sticky as we head into the weekend. Here's a look at the weekend forecast from a national perspective, anyway.
Not for nothing, but I hope my weekend is hot and sticky. I haven't had one of those in I'm not gonna lie to you. Edward needs recreation. I haven't had any. I'm busy. I've been slammed in the wrong ways. I've been looking to get slammed, and instead I've been slammed. You know the difference, don't you? It's not pleasant. It's you look at yourself and you go, "Is that you?" And you go, "Yeah." Boy, you look beat up. You say, "I know. I just had a weekend." Yeah, I know. What'd you do? Well, I worked all weekend. Doing what? Well, climbing, bending, twisting, connecting connectors, and trying to get camera angles. You are still not. Well, you know, the screens, they put a hum and a. Say, man, you need. Have you tried Excedrin? Nope, my grandfather used Anacin for his arthritis. When I was a kid, he goes, my arthritis. And I used to look at his hands. It was tough for him to hold a wrench, you know. And he would go for the big bottle. He would have a bottle of like 180 of those chalky, crushed, you know, the stamped, not crushed, stamped tablets. That arrow for Anacin. It was some kind of Greek acrylic A or something. It was great. He'd reach up there, man. He would get that bottle. He would take those bad boys, and that was it. Right back back in. And the weather would be insanely hot, or it would be horribly cold. The wind, sleet. No hat. He's got that bald spot, man. And the flakes, the snowflakes are coming down. They surrender before they hit him because he's on fire. Right? He wears a flannel shirt. It's 8 degrees outside. Everybody's got a parka on, leather coat, scarves. He's got a flannel shirt on, and a flashlight if it's at night. Flashlight at night. He's out in the street 9:30 at night. He's 82 years old. I'm telling you, man. 9:30 at night. I'm out for the count. He's 82, and you say, my mother would say, your grandfather. My mother would go running through the living room. I go, why? She goes, your grandfather's out in the street working on somebody's car. Come on, Ed. And she would get my dad and have to run downstairs. And then my downstairs neighbor would come out and say, Tina, is something wrong? It's my father. He's helping someone. Oh, that's the way your father is, Tina. He likes it. My mother would say, yeah, but you know, he's 82 years old and he's out there in his slippers. Oh, God bless him. God bless him. He's going to slip and break his... So you get out there he is. He's got white socks. He's got his brown Italian slippers. They're 45-year-old slippers. They're old, distressed slippers. And he is out there, and he's doing just what I said. He's buried, and nothing's going on. Everybody's staring at the magician. And he was like the Wizard of Oz, or the Wizard of Cars. He's in there, and he's nothing, and it clank, clank, and then he does the old switcheroo. The arm comes out slow, arthritically. He reaches to the back. He gets himself another tool. Nobody can believe this. Everybody's muttering, is that Ed Till's grandfather? Tina, is that your father? Yes, it is. My mother's proud, but at the same time, she's like, you know, my father's going to kill himself doing this. I'm the oldest. I should make sure my father's going to kill himself. You know, Adeline hears about this in Mount Vernon. What is wrong with him? And, you know, my father's like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's a goddamn cowboy. You know, he's Clint Eastwood in real life of cars. He makes these douchebags on TV. Hey, I'm loud and whatever that guy is. Loud and you know that guy with the loud car? Well, I buy loud cars. I flip cars. My grandfather was like a car tamer. He could walk up to a wild animal like Dr. Doolittle, and before you know it, he put a tiger back in the game. It'll be killing a gazelle by noon. You bring him. You get a. One time he's walking down the street with me, and he sees a car that's stuck in front of somebody's house, kind of catty corner, and you could tell the car crapped out right there. So this drives him insane because it's blocking the roadway. It's blocking where he walks. Right away, my grandfather, somebody's going to fall. This guy was amazing. So right away, he starts sizing it up. There's no one here. There's not a person in sight. The car's completely abandoned. And he starts looking. He starts looking at the tires, looking at the wheels, the suspension. How did it come to a halt? He could tell with a little bit of pressure if the brakes were on, if the brake was engaged, or did the car stop from conking out and stall. And he would know if the engine was. This guy was like unbelievable. He was like an MRI. He was like a human MRI. And so we're out there, and personally, I was never bored with this. Everybody else, come on, Pete, let's go. I couldn't wait to see what he was going to do next. Some guy would come walking up and say, excuse me, sir, to think that my grandfather was just some ordinary, feeble old man, and they would be kind to him, ask him to step aside. Oh my, you might as well tell Leonardo da Vinci to stop looking at your house painting job. I mean, he's like, well, let me just show you something here. And then he starts with the cane. Look at this and look at that. And the guy's like, and then as soon as he saw that once again, he caught another human being not knowing what they're doing, forget it. He was in. Then it was like then I knew it was a real one. I knew we had one on the line, because if the guy was a mechanic, my grandfather was happy to keep walking. If my grandfather saw that somebody had a situation under control, my grandfather pulled out immediately. Boom, next one. He was only looking for the things that were stopping progress in the world as he saw it, because he was born in the 1800s. And the whole 20th century, he had it figured out. By the time before the stock crash, my grandfather had it all figured out. And when the stock crash came, nobody in my grandfather's crowd was surprised.